It's time for another edition of Coach's Corner with women's basketball coach Matilda Mossman. Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome to Coach's Corner with head coach Matilda Mossman of TU women's basketball. And we welcome in the new calendar year, but you're right in the midst of obviously this season. And Coach, I know one of the things that's just been exasperating for you is all of the close losses. You've been so competitive in so many games, and yet have lost so many of those, huh?
Well, we talked earlier about the youth of our team. 9 of 13 players are freshmen and sophomores, and but now we've played 14 games, and you would have hoped over that Christmas break, you get 4 days off, you have time for everything kind of soak in a little bit. And our two biggest problem areas going into Christmas break were us putting other teams on the free throw line. I mean, against Indiana State, the game before the break, they shot 29 free throws against us. And I think over the course of those first 13 games, our opponents had shot over 100 free throws than us. And then the other problem area was our rebounding, our lack of box outs. And comparably, we had given up over 100 rebounds to our opponent. So those are two things that we really worked hard on that the week we got back. Those are points of emphasis. I mean, our players came in. Yes, we haven't guarded very well, and we haven't boxed out very well. And so it was a little bit disappointing against Houston on Sunday because we put them at the line 30 times. It's just us not getting down the stands, us not guarding, and not being disciplined enough to not foul and put people at the free throw line. It was a very well officiated game. We couldn't get to the line, but that was we chose to shoot threes over attacking the basket, and we went 6 for 30. So obviously that wasn't a very good plan. That wasn't our plan going into the game, but that's how the game ended up.
Well, and as you mentioned, Houston getting to the line all of those times, but they were really attacking, weren't they? I mean, they really get it up and down the court pretty quickly and got you in some situations where you hadn't transitioned back, right?
Yeah, they did. They're more of a dribble drive team. We're more of a catch and shoot team. And because they attacked, it allows them to get to the free throw line. And because we're not an attacking team, we don't get to the free throw line as much. But one of the things that hurt us as well, we had 21 turnovers against Houston, and a lot of those were live ball turnovers where they just went down and scored layups because of our either inability to handle the ball or us making bad passes.
And as a result, TU 0-1 in the league, but the league season obviously is still very early as the Hurricane going on the road and losing at Houston. But back to the final couple of non-league games for you. Had double-digit leads in both of those games, I believe, Little Rock and the Indiana State game, right? And it's got to be tough when those slip away, huh?
Yeah, it's. I think we've had 4 games this year where we had double-digit leads and then ended up losing the game. We did have a double-digit lead against St. Louis. They came back. We were able to hold them off. But you mentioned Little Rock. You mentioned Indiana State. With 7 minutes to go in the Arkansas game, we're up 8. And then we didn't score in the last 7 minutes until the last 4 seconds. So that's another game that we felt like slipped away from us. But, the ball needs to go in the basket, number one. We can't keep going 6 for 30 from 3. We have to have a different mentality, though. We can't just all catch and shoot. We have to have guys that are going to attack the basket. And against Houston in the third quarter, we got down 16. And Erica Wakefield decided that, okay, I'm going to go attack the basket. I'm going to do what I need to do. And she scores 11 points in about a 5-minute span because now she's getting to the free throw line. And you would hope that would carry over with some of our other guys. And unfortunately, it didn't. We just kept basically shooting ourselves out of the game.
Well, and Erica has been so consistent for you, over 13 points a game, and you were hoping for that, and she's kind of delivered. You have a couple other players kind of on the cusp of being double-digit, but they're both freshmen. So are you seeing a little consistency in those players? Are they coming on?
Yeah, I think you look at Erica, obviously, and then Kendra Elliott had been playing really well up to the Houston game. She was averaging in double figures and it had a couple of double-double games. And then Lex Galden had some big games for us. So those 3 were really doing the bulk of our scoring. And we just got to find a few more guys that are going to step in. Against Houston, they had 5 people in double figures. We had 2. We just need to get more people involved. We've got to have more threats. Right now, those 3 are only threats. Kendrian wasn't as much of a threat against Houston, but Liesel stepped up. Liesel had a really good second half, was 1 rebound away from a double-double. And, so that's encouraging. So, we hope that she can continue with that.
Well, and certainly as you look at even your scheduled starters, if you will, or your most frequent starters, you have 3 freshmen in there. I mean, it's got to be something you have to work on, right? I mean, and it's something that hopefully gets better, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can't keep using that as our excuse or our fallback. I mean, obviously we do have a lot of freshmen that are playing. The 4 freshmen, and then Ebony Parker is a new junior college player. A lot of things are new to them, but we have played 14 games now. And so our expectations are a little bit higher, and I think their own expectations of themselves need to be higher.
So a good effort at Houston. The effort, it wasn't really a matter of effort necessarily. It was a battle, and it went all the way down to the end. And but it's very early in the league season. What do you see as far as the improvement is as you get ready for this week, Memphis at home, and then on the road?
Well, I think that Houston game was like a roller coaster. We go up, we're ahead 8-0, and then I think we're ahead 15-8, and then they made a little. In the first quarter, we're still ahead, and they made a run in the second quarter where we're fouling them, putting them at the free throw line. We're shooting threes and missing them, and so all of a sudden it's a huge second quarter for them. And then in the third quarter, we're down 7 at halftime. And then they come out with more urgency than us, and they build that lead to 16. Well, then we cut it back, and we really get within either 2 or 3. And I think down 3, we had a chance to tie it and miss the shot. But we had opportunities, even though we got down by that many. We had a couple of groups go in and really played hard and got that lead cut down. I think it was more of we ran out of time. By the time we started the comeback, we just didn't have enough time to finish it.
So TU 0-1 in the league, and 2 important games coming up this week, 1 at home and 1 on the road. We'll talk about those in a moment when we continue on Coach's Corner with head coach Matilda Mossman.
We are American. We are the spark that ignites, dazzling, brilliant, intense. We are plugged in with the volume turned up all the way. Because on this court, on any given night, the energy of 5 becomes the power of 1. That's power. We are power.
We're back on Coach's Corner with head coach Matilda Mossman. TU women's basketball in a busy week as it always is as you get into league play now. At home against Memphis on Wednesday, and they've had a good start.
They really have. They played Temple on Wednesday as we were playing. On Sunday as we were finishing up our Houston game. Temple was at Memphis, and that game went overtime. Memphis only has 9 players able to play right now, and they've done a great job of using those 9 and getting the most out of them.
And certainly they have some talented players coming in. They have 3 players in double figures, so they have kind of what you have, which is 3 really, really good scorers that you have to concentrate on.
Yeah, and Cheyenne Creighton's probably, I think she's their leading scorer. She's typically a 4 or 5 player, but she hit a big 3 against Temple last night, I think, to tie the game. But I think she's 3 for 5 now from three-point range. So she's added that dimension to her game. It makes us have to pull out a big to guard her out there at the three-point line.
And then later in the week, it's at South Florida, and anytime you go to Tampa and play that team, that they're very good. I think picked 2nd in the league, coming off really some historic seasons for them. So I'm sure they're going to be tough.
Yeah, they lost Alicia Jenkins and Courtney Williams and Courtney Williams was like the number 8 pick in the WNBA draft. So you thought they would be down a little bit, but Kit Laska, their big three-point shooter that was a freshman last year, she has had a couple of games where she scored over 30. She can really shoot the 3, and then they've got some other kids who have had big games for them. They've had lots of different kids score in the 20s, and so they're a really potent offense, and we're going to have to be really good defensively.
Which makes the Memphis game really important. Get that one in your pocket,
Yeah,
then you can at least go on the road with a win, right?
You're right. We have to take care of the home games. Absolutely. We have to take care of the ones at home.
All right. Well, fans, get on out on Wednesday when TU takes on Memphis, and that'll wrap it up for this edition of Coach's Corner. Coach, good luck this week.
Thank you.
That's head coach Matilda Mossman of University of Tulsa women's basketball.